The storm rolled across the red sky like a great living beast. Thick clouds moved quickly above the cracked surface of planet Relis. Dust and lightning danced together in the air. It was not a place where most people would walk outside, not unless they had to. Tommy pressed his coat closer around his body. The fabric shook in the wild wind as he made his way toward the signal tower on the edge of the ridge. He was the only human in this region. A small research base was his home, and he had lived there for 6 months, collecting data and sending reports back to Earth. That morning, something strange had happened. One of the outer warning towers had stopped sending its usual signal. Tommy had tried to fix it from inside the base, but the system showed a full blackout. It meant he would have to check it by hand. And now, here he was, pushing against the storm, goggles covered in dust and eyes half shut. As he climbed the last slope near the tower, Tommy froze. Something was lying near the base of the structure. At first, he thought it was a pile of silver metal, maybe broken parts from the tower, but then it moved, just slightly, enough for him to see an arm. A hand. Fingers. Someone was there. Tommy ran forward and dropped to his knees beside the figure. His heart began to pound. It was not a human. The body was taller, thinner, with glowing lines running softly under pale skin. Her clothes were torn. Her face half covered in dust. But she was alive. Barely. She opened her eyes. They were bright like morning stars. Her lips moved. She said something, but the wind took the words away. Tommy looked around. There was no one else. No sign of a crash. No trail. She had come here alone. And if he left her, she would not survive. Without thinking more, Tommy lifted her in his arms. She was lighter than he expected. Her skin felt cold, even through his gloves. He moved fast, heading back to the shelter. The storm pushed against him, but he leaned into it, keeping his grip tight. The shelter was nearly a mile away, and the walk felt longer than ever. But he didn't stop, not once. When he finally reached the door, he kicked it open and stepped inside, gasping for breath. Warm. Lights filled the room. The walls were lined with tools, food packs, and data screens. Tommy laid her down on a padded bench and pulled off his gloves. He turned on the heat lamp above her. She did not open her eyes, but her breathing was steady now. For a long moment, Tommy just stood there, looking at her. He had heard of alien life before. Earth had made contact with a few peaceful races in the last decade, but he had never met one in person. And now, here she was in his shelter, quiet and hurt, but still alive. He opened a drawer and found a scanner. It was made for humans, but maybe it could help. He waved it slowly over her body. The screen blinked with symbols he didn't fully understand. But one thing was clear. Her energy levels were dropping fast. She needed help, not just shelter. After an hour, she stirred. Her fingers moved. Her eyes opened again. Tommy knelt beside her. He spoke gently. "You're safe now. Can you hear me?" She blinked, then nodded. Her voice was soft. "Where am I?" "You're in my shelter. I found you near the tower. You were almost gone." She tried to sit up, but he stopped her. "Easy. You need to rest." Her eyes searched the room. Then they returned to him. "I'm Lyra," she said slowly. "Tommy?" He replied. Her breathing was still weak. Her skin flickered, with small pulses of light. It was beautiful and strange at the same time. He had never seen anything like it. "I came to meet someone from your world," she said. "Where's your ship?" Tommy asked. "Gone. I don't know where they are. I was waiting near the tower when the storm came." Tommy's mind raced. Something was wrong here. If she was supposed to meet someone, why had no signal come through? Why was she left behind? "I'll help you," he said. Her eyes locked onto his. For a moment, she said nothing. Then she whispered, "You already have." Tommy brought her water and one of the soft nutrient packs. She seemed unsure at first, but then ate slowly, carefully. As she rested, Tommy checked the communications panel. Still nothing. No messages, no reports of incoming ships. It was like her arrival had been missed or ignored. Later that evening, Lyra sat up with effort. She looked stronger, but still tired. Her voice had more weight now. "I don't have much time," she said. Tommy looked at her. "What do you mean?" She didn't answer right away. Her hands folded together, her glowing. Lines dimmed a little. "My kind, we survive through connection. Without a mate, we enter a fading state. It's not death, but it leads to death if not stopped." Tommy was quiet. The words sounded strange, but the fear in her voice was real. "And you haven't found a mate?" he asked. She shook her head slowly. "I was supposed to. That was the purpose of my visit. But the one who sent the call is not here. I think I was left behind." Her voice trembled, but she stayed calm. "I will not make it more than a few days unless I find someone to bond with. It's not about love or breeding. It's an energy link, a sharing of life between two. It keeps the body alive." Tommy looked at her in silence. He had come out today to fix a broken signal. Instead, he had found someone broken by a world she didn't belong to, and now her life depended on something no human had ever tried. He didn't know how. He didn't know if it would work, but one thing he did know: he couldn't let her fade, not without trying. Tommy sat near the table, staring at the half-full mug in his hand. The shelter was quiet now. The storm outside had calmed, but the real storm was inside his mind. Lyra was resting in the back room, her breathing steady but slow. He replayed her words again and again. "I will not make it more than a few days unless I find someone to bond with." Tommy had seen many strange things on distant planets, but this was something different. Lyra was not sick in the way humans understood. Her body needed something deeper, something he didn't fully understand. He stood up and walked to the back room. Lyra was sitting upright now, wrapped in a thin blanket. Her silver skin shimmered, faintly under the soft lights. She looked at him as he entered. "You're still here," she said softly. Tommy gave a small smile. "Where else would I go?" She looked down for a moment, as if unsure what to say next. "I didn't want to tell you earlier," she said, "but my time is shorter than I thought. I can feel the change beginning." Tommy stepped closer. "What kind of change?" She touched the center of her chest. A soft glow appeared under her hand. "Our energy centers begin to close when the A bond is missing. It starts here, then moves through the body. Slowly, one by one, the inner systems shut down. It does not hurt, but it is final." Tommy felt a strange chill run through him. Her calm voice made it even more real. "How does the bond work?" he asked. Lyra looked up. Her eyes held a deep sadness, but also a quiet hope. "Our people are born with the ability to share life force, not just feelings, real energy. When two are close, we form a link. It is not forever. It can last days, months, or even years, but it gives balance. Without it, we fade." Tommy sat down across from her. "And this bond, can it be made with someone who isn't like you?" Lyra hesitated. "It has never happened. We were told only our kind could form the bond. But I believe that is not the full truth. I believe it may be possible, if there is trust, if there is care." Tommy nodded slowly. He didn't understand all of it, but he believed her, and he could see she believed in him. He looked at her hands. They were thin and glowing slightly, not from heat, but from life itself, a life that was fading. "What do I need to do?" he asked. Lyra's eyes widened a little. "You're willing?" "I don't want to stand by and watch you fade," Tommy said. "If there's a way to help, I'll try." She gave him a long look. Then she nodded. "We must sit close, face to face, hands together. I will guide you through it. You don't have to force anything. You only need to let it happen." Tommy helped her to the main room. He placed 2 cushions on the floor. She sat slowly, her movements gentle but weak. He sat across from her, copying her position. She reached out her hands. He took them. Her skin was cool, like water touched by moonlight. "Close your eyes," she said. "Breathe slow. Think of your home, your people, your memories." Tommy closed his eyes. He thought of Earth, his small house near the river, the quiet forest, the old music he used to listen to. He thought of his sister, who always laughed too, loud, and of the stars he watched as a child. "Now," Lyra whispered, "open your heart. Let the feeling rise, but do not hold it. Let it move freely." At first, nothing happened. Then he felt warmth in his chest. It was small, like a spark, but it grew. A soft hum filled his ears. He wasn't hearing it with sound. He was feeling it inside. Images began to appear, not his own. He saw tall towers made of glass and light. He saw a great sea under a violet sky. He saw children with glowing skin, laughing as they ran through crystal fields. They were her memories, Lyra's. At the same time, she saw his. The trees of earth, the taste of rain, the sound of birds in the morning, the smile of his mother when she handed him his first drawing. "Tool." Tears ran down Lyra's cheeks. "So warm," she whispered. "So full of color." Tommy felt something pass between them, like air moving through an open door. It wasn't heavy. It wasn't painful. It was light and calm and full of peace. The glow from Lyra's skin grew brighter. Her breath became deeper. Her hands, once cold, now felt warm in his. They stayed like that for a long time. When Tommy finally opened his eyes, Lyra was looking at him. She smiled. "You did it," she said. "The link is formed." Tommy let out a quiet breath. "How do you feel?" "Alive," she said. He smiled too. They sat in silence for a few more minutes, still holding hands. Then Lyra looked at the window. The storm outside had fully passed. The sky was clear, painted with stars. "I thought I would die on this planet," she said. "I had lost hope. But then you came." Tommy stood up and brought her a warm drink. She took it with both hands, sipping, slowly. "There's still much I don't understand," he said. "I'll teach you," she replied. He nodded. They were 2 beings from different worlds, but something new had started between them. Something quiet, something real. Not forced, not broken. Just a single bond holding 2 lives together. The shelter was quiet. Only the soft hum of the heater filled the air. Lyra sat by the small window, watching the stars. Her skin was glowing again, not too bright, but no longer fading. The bond with Tommy had slowed the change inside her. She was alive, and she could feel her strength returning. Tommy worked on the other side of the room, fixing the broken panel from the signal tower. His hands moved slowly, carefully. He had done this task many times before, but today his thoughts were somewhere else. He glanced at Lyra. She looked peaceful, but he knew she was thinking deeply. After a while, she spoke. "Tommy," she said, "what you did. No one from your world has done before." Tommy looked up. "I didn't do anything special. I just didn't want to lose you." Lyra smiled gently. "Still, it means something. To me, to my people. If they knew." She paused, as if unsure whether to say the next words. Tommy put down his tools and came closer. He sat across from her. "What is it?" he asked. She looked into his eyes. "My people have rules. traditions. We do not bond with outsiders. It is said that the connection only works within our own kind, but now I know that is not true. Tomi nodded slowly. Maybe the rule was never tested before. Maybe, she said, or maybe they were afraid to try. A short silence followed. The room felt still. Lyra looked down at her hands. You gave part of your energy to save me. That bond can fade over time, but it can also grow stronger. If we continue to stay connected, it may become permanent. Tomi raised an eyebrow. Permanent? What does that mean? It means our lives would begin to move together. What one feels, the other will sense. Our minds may share memories without words, and if one falls ill, the other may feel it too. Tomi took a moment to think. It sounded like something out of a dream, or a myth, but it was real. Is that dangerous? He asked. Lyra shook her head. Not dangerous, but it changes things. It requires trust and care. It cannot be undone easily. Tomi stood and walked toward the food cabinet. He needed to move, to think. He pulled out 2 heat packs and warmed them. As they ate, he looked over at her again. I didn't know any of this when I agreed, he said. But I don't regret it. Lyra looked at him with soft eyes. Neither do I. They finished their meal quietly. Afterward, Lyra stood and moved closer to the workbench. She looked at the broken signal panel. This needs to be fixed, she said. Your people must know what happened here. Mine must know too. Tomi nodded. I was working on it when you woke up. It will take some time, but I can get it working again. She placed her hand on the edge of the table. Her fingers glowed slightly. There's more, she said. When I first came to this planet, I received a message. It said someone from your world would meet me at the tower, but no one came. Tomi's eyes narrowed. I never heard about that mission. I wasn't told anyone was arriving. Lyra's voice lowered. I think something was hidden. On purpose. Tomi felt a chill. If she was right, then someone had blocked the message. Someone didn't want the meeting to happen. We need to find out who sent that message, he said. And why it never reached the main system? Lyra nodded. Agreed. But first, we need the tower working again. The full system, not just the basic signal. I must send a direct message to my people. They spent the next few hours working side by side. Lyra didn't know human tools well, but she was quick to learn. Her mind was sharp and her fingers moved with care. Tomi showed her how each part fit, and together they replaced the damaged wires. As they worked, they talked more about Earth, about her home world, about the things they had lost and the things they still hoped for. Lyra told him about the great singing gardens of her planet, where the wind passed through crystal leaves and made soft music. Tomi told her about rivers and trees and the sound of rain on metal roofs. They laughed sometimes. Other times, they just worked in silence. But the bond between them grew stronger with each hour. By nightfall, the panel was ready. Tomi tested the connection. The lights blinked green. It's working, he said. We can try to send a message now. Lyra stepped forward. She placed her hand on the panel, and it responded to her touch. A small screen lit up with a symbol from her language. She typed a message slowly, line by line. Her eyes stayed focused. When she finished, she turned to Tomi. It's sent. They'll know I'm alive. They'll know you helped me. Tomi felt relief, but also something deeper. A quiet sense of purpose. What happens next? He asked Lyra. Looked out the window. The stars above were calm. The sky was clear. They may come to take me home, she said. Or they may ask questions. Some will not believe. Some may fear this bond between us. Tomi nodded. And what do you want? Lyra met his eyes. Her answer came without delay. I want to live. I want peace between our worlds. And I want to stay connected with you. If you still wish it. Tomi didn't speak for a moment. Then he stepped closer. I didn't expect any of this. But I'm not afraid. You trusted me. I trust you. She reached for his hand. He took it. The bond pulsed gently between them. No longer a deal with the unknown. Now it was a choice made in light. Together they faced a new beginning. The air inside the shelter felt different now. Warmer. Softer. Something invisible had changed between Tomi and Lyra. The bond they had formed was no longer just a way to save her life. It had become something real, something deeper. Lyra sat, on the floor near the heater, her hands resting in her lap. Her silver skin was calm and smooth, glowing in soft waves. Her eyes followed Tomi as he walked around the room, checking equipment and updating his logs. They had shared food, stories, and silence. But now came something harder to face. Waiting. Lyra had sent the message to her people the night before. It was direct, clear, and strong. If her ship or another scout was close, they would receive it. But no reply had come yet. Tomi noticed her quiet face and walked over with 2 hot drinks. He handed one to her and sat beside her on the floor. Still no answer? He asked gently. Lyra shook her head. Not yet. But they heard me. I'm sure of it. Tomi looked at the window. Outside, the stars blinked gently. The planet Relis was silent again. The storm was gone, but it had left behind more than broken metal. It had brought change. Your light is stronger now, Tomi said, pointing to the glow under her skin. Lyra looked at her hands. The bond has taken root. My energy center is open again. I can feel it inside me, like a new flame. Tomi smiled. That's good, right? Yes, she said, but it also means something else. The bond between us is growing. It's no longer just survival. It's connection. Real connection. Tomi took a sip of his drink and listened. In our world, Lyra continued, bonding starts with survival. But when the energy is matched well, it moves beyond that. 2 minds begin to touch in small ways. A thought, a memory, a feeling. They pass between both, even without words, Tomi thought for a moment. Like what happened when we linked 4. The first time? Lyra nodded. That was the beginning. But now, it may start happening without trying. You may feel something that is not yours, and I may feel something that belongs to you. He looked at her, curious and calm. And what do we do then? We listen, she said. We accept it. We don't fight it. Tomi set down his drink. I'm ready for it, whatever it means. I've seen enough strange things in the galaxy. This is one of the better ones. Lyra laughed softly. It was the first time Tomi had heard her laugh. It was gentle, like wind across glass. Your world must be full of surprises, she said. You have no idea, Tomi replied with a smile. They spent the rest of the evening working together. Lyra helped him clean the outside vent, and Tomi showed her how to use the star mapping tool. She was quick to learn. Her eyes lit up when she saw the star paths above Relis. This is where your home is, he said, pointing to a blue star on the map. Earth. It's far from here, but not impossible to reach. Lyra touched the spot on the map and closed her eyes. It looks peaceful, she said. Tomi looked at her. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's messy. But it's still home. Later, they sat by the window again. The stars above were moving slowly, quiet and steady. Suddenly, Tomi felt something strange. A memory. Not one of his. He saw a tall tree with wide leaves made of crystal. The wind blew and soft music played from the branches. Around the tree were small children, their skin glowing like Lyra's. One of them ran up to a woman with long white hair. The child laughed and held up a shining stone. Then the image faded. Tomi blinked and turned to Lyra. "I saw something," he said. She looked at him with wide eyes. "What did you see?" He described the tree, the music, and the child. Lyra smiled. "That was my home. That child was me. You felt my memory." "How?" he asked. "The bond," she said. "It's opening." "You received part of me." Tomi sat back, surprised but calm. "It didn't feel strange. It felt peaceful." "That's how it starts," she said. Then she touched his hand gently. A moment later, her face changed. Her eyes blinked quickly, and her breath caught in her throat. "I saw a lake," she whispered. "You were young. You threw a small stone and tried to skip it. You smiled when it bounced 3 times. Tomi nodded. "That was real. I was 10. My sister was there too. It was a good day." Lyra let out a breath. "I felt the warmth of that moment, like I was really there." They looked at each other, not with fear, but with understanding. The bond was no longer just keeping Lyra alive. It was showing both of them something more, something rare. 2 lives slowly weaving together across stars and time. Tomi stood and brought a blanket from the corner. He placed it around Lyra's shoulders. "Let's rest," he said. "Tomorrow we check the signal again. Maybe someone will answer." Lyra nodded. "And if they don't?" Tomi looked at her with quiet strength. "Then we try again. We're not alone anymore. That counts for something." They sat there for a while longer, watching the stars. Their hands rested close, not touching, but the light between them remained. It was quiet, it was soft, and it was growing. Morning arrived with a quiet light. The sky above Relis was calm, painted in soft orange and pink. Tomi stepped outside the shelter for the first time since the storm had passed. The air was dry but no longer filled with dust. He looked toward the hills where the signal tower stood. Everything seemed normal again, but he knew it wasn't. Inside the shelter, Lyra sat near the signal screen, watching for any sign of a reply from her people. Her fingers moved slowly along the panel, checking each setting, scanning every corner of the data. But the results stayed the same. No answer. Tomi walked back in and set down his pack. "Still nothing?" She shook her head. "The message was sent correctly. The system shows full transmission. But there's no reply. No trace of response." Tomi frowned. "What if the message didn't reach them at all?" Lyra looked at him surprised. "But the system confirmed it. The signal went out." Tomi nodded. "Yes. But I've seen strange things in this place. Once, another team tried to send a weather report during a quiet season. They thought it reached Earth, but nothing ever arrived. Weeks later, we found a hidden device near the ridge. It was jamming signals from this sector, quietly, almost invisible to scanners." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "A jammer?" Tomi sat beside her. "Yes, and now I'm wondering, what if that's what happened to you?" She stared at the screen. "Someone could have blocked my arrival, hidden my message, left me here on purpose." Tomi's face grew serious. "It's possible. And if that's true, we need to find the source. We need proof." Without wasting more time, they packed some supplies and left the shelter. Tomi led the way across the ridge toward the old signal path. His boots moved quietly over the dust. Lyra walked beside him, her steps light but steady. After half an hour of climbing, they reached a rocky slope covered in dried roots and loose stones. Tomi knelt near a patch of ground that looked too flat, too clean. He began digging. Soon he uncovered a small black box buried under the dirt. It was smooth, without markings, and connected to a thin wire that ran deep into the ground. Lyra touched the surface. Her glow flickered for a second. "This is not one of your tools," she said. "No," Tomi replied. This wasn't made by me or anyone from my team. And look here." He pointed to a small light blinking slowly on the side. "It's still active. Even now, it's blocking something." Lyra took a small tool from her belt and opened the side panel. Inside were circuits lined with symbols not from her world and not from Earth either. It was something mixed, something secret. "This is advanced," she said. "Whoever placed this knew what they were doing." Tommy looked around the quiet valley. "Then the question is, why?" They carried the box back to the shelter and placed it on the table. Tommy connected it to his scanner, the screen filled with strange wave lines. "This thing isn't just jamming signals," he said. "It's also recording them. Every message sent, every signal received, all saved here." Lyra leaned closer. "Then my original message. The one I sent before the storm." Tommy clicked through the files. There it was. A message marked with her name and the date of her arrival. It had been stopped and never forwarded. She stood still for a long moment. "Someone made sure I was left here without help." "But who?" Tommy thought for a moment. "I know one place that might give us more answers. There's an old research outpost near the South Ridge. It hasn't been used in years, but it had full access to all system networks. If anyone wanted to control the signal routes from this planet, they'd do it from there." Lyra nodded. "Then we go there next." By midday, they reached the edge of the outpost. The building was half buried in sand. Wind had erased most of the paths, but the steel doors were still standing. Tommy entered a code and waited. After a slow pause, the door opened with a soft sound. Inside, the air was cold. Dust covered the floor. Lights flickered weakly from the ceiling. Tommy found the control room and started the main console. Lyra moved to the side panels, reading the backup logs. They worked in silence for nearly an hour, going through records and hidden folders. Then, Lyra found it, a locked file with the name Project Quiet Link. She tapped the screen. "This matches the signal jammer we found." Tommy unlocked it with an old passcode he remembered from training. The file opened. Inside were reports written by someone named Marin Voss, a leader of a secret group within the early human exploration teams. The reports spoke of fear. Fear that alien contact would change human society too fast. They believed in delay, in silence, in hiding messages until the time was right. Lyra read each word with care. Her face stayed calm, but her eyes were sharp. "They feared change," she said. "So they made sure contact never happened. They cut the link before it even began." Tommy sat down slowly. "This is why no one came to meet you. Why your call for help was ignored." She looked at him. "And why I would have died alone if you hadn't found me." He nodded. "But now we have proof. This file, the jammer, the logs. We can show both our people what really happened." Lyra took his hand. "You saved more than me, Tommy. You saved the truth." They copied the files and prepared the new message. This time, they sent it using the outpost's stronger system, directly to both Earth and Lyra's homeworld. When the message was sent, they sat outside the outpost, watching the sky. "I don't know what will happen next," Tommy said. "Neither do I," Lyra replied. "But we face it together now." And above them, for the first time in many days, a small light appeared in the sky. Not a star, a ship, answering the call that was never meant to be heard. The sky above Relis darkened as evening approached. The small ship that appeared earlier grew larger and clearer against the stars. Its smooth metal surface reflected the fading light. It was unlike any craft Tommy had ever seen before. Inside the shelter, Tommy and Lyra prepared quietly. Lyra's glow pulsed gently as she focused on her energy center. She could feel the bond with Tommy growing stronger and more real. The connection was no longer just a survival link, but a true joining of two lives. The ship landed softly a few miles away. A hatch opened and figures emerged. They were tall and lean with calm faces. Their skin shimmered like Lyra's, but was a deep blue color. Their eyes held knowledge and kindness. Tomi stepped outside to meet them. Lyra followed closely. Her heart beat faster, but her steps were steady. One of the visitors stepped forward. "I am Kira from the Council of Watchers," she said in a clear voice. "We received your message, Lyra, and have come to answer." Lyra bowed slightly. "Thank you for coming." Kira looked at Tomi. "And you must be the human who saved her life." Tomi nodded. "Yes, I am." Kira smiled softly. "Your actions have changed the course of many lives." "We are grateful." They led Tomi and Lyra to the ship. The interior was filled with soft lights and gentle sounds. The walls seemed alive with energy. Kira explained, "Our council watches over many worlds. We protect life and help where we can, but there are forces who fear change and try to keep worlds apart." Lyra's voice was firm. "That is why I was left alone, why my message was blocked." Kira nodded. "Yes, but your bond with this human has opened a new path. It shows that connection is possible even across different worlds." Tomi looked at Lyra. "What happens now?" Kira's eyes shone. "Now we begin the work of healing. We will return with you both to the council. We will show them your story and ask for peace between our peoples." Lyra smiled with hope. "I want to believe that our worlds can be friends." Tomi reached out and took her hand. "Together, we will make it happen." As the ship prepared to leave, Tomi looked back at the planet, the small world that had brought him an alien stranger, and a new purpose. The bond between them pulsed bright and steady. They were no longer just two lives fighting to survive. They were a symbol of hope. A future where differences did not divide but united. The Watcher's ship rose gently and disappeared. Into the night sky below on Relis, the stars shone a little brighter. A new journey had just begun. The council chamber was vast and quiet. Light poured through tall windows, painting soft colors across the smooth floor. Tomi and Lyra stood side by side, facing the leaders of the Watchers. These were beings from many worlds, each different, but all wise and patient. Kira spoke first. "We have heard the full story. The bond that saved Lyra and the courage of this human. This is rare. This is new." One elder stepped forward. Her skin shimmered with a gentle gold. "Our worlds have long kept distance. Fear has held us apart. But the bond between you shows that fear can be overcome." Lyra nodded slowly. "I was left to die because some feared what contact could bring. But now I see there is hope." Tomi looked at the council. "We can build a future together, one where differences are strength, where all life is respected." A soft murmur passed through the chamber. The leaders exchanged looks. Then one by one they began to smile. Kira said, "Then we declare a new beginning, a time to share knowledge, culture, and friendship across the stars." The council agreed to send ambassadors to both Earth and Lyra's homeworld. They would open new channels for communication and help guide peaceful meetings. Lyra felt tears in her eyes. "Thank you for believing in us." Tomi squeezed her hand. "We did this together." Outside the chamber, the sun rose over Relis. Light spread across the planet, touching every hill and valley. The storm was long gone, replaced by calm and warmth. The bond between Tomi and Lyra had grown into something strong and true. It was no longer just about survival, but about life and hope. Back on Earth, a new message arrived. It was from the Watchers, offering friendship and an invitation to join this growing community of worlds. Tomi watched the stars that night, feeling a deep peace inside. The universe was larger and more connected than he had ever imagined. Lyra rested beside him, her light steady and bright. Together they looked forward to the new dawn, the dawn of a future where no one was alone, where every Life mattered, where hope traveled across the stars.